Hello everyone guys, welcome to a new video. In this episode, I'm gonna have with me the winner of the Toronto Regional Championship, which took place on the 17th and 18th of January. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to DHCUnited. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Hello, so good morning. It's afternoon for me, it's morning for you. So do you want to tell something about yourself, what you do for a living, how you got close to the game and PvP? Did you start early on or did you join pretty late?
Yeah. I'm DHC United. I'm originally from Hong Kong, so you might see me mention Hong Kong in some interviews at certain times. I currently live out of the West Coast in the U.S. And I write software for a living. So that's a little bit about me. Now, on the Pokemon Go side, started playing when the game came out in 2016. Didn't really start PvP until kind of around season 5, season 6 of GBL, where I started playing, hit Legend around season 7, season 8. And in terms of like the competitive scene of Show 6, I didn't really get into it until, let us see, April or May of 2025. So I would say that's quite late. You let me know if you agree. But I got into it through my faction. I decided to recruit for Gym Breakers because I saw an Inadequate's video on like how to get involved, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna join a Gym Breakers team. And from Gym Breakers, I went to factions. It's where I mainly met most of my friends and get my show 6 practice. And then from there, I decided to this year try out for, try to see if I can qualify for the World Championships. And here we are.
Well, yeah, definitely a very powerful start to your PvP career. And so this really was something that I was gonna mean to ask you, because looking at your profile, I was seeing there is no there is no 2025 record basically in Play Pokemon season. So your stats start here with basically one barely missed top cut in Las Vegas, then one top cut in LASC. It's top cut top 32, right? So yeah, you
Yes,
definitely have top cut in LASC.
I did play in day 2, but I got immediately eliminated. But it's
still, yeah, and then a fantastic first place in Toronto. So yeah, what I wanted to ask is, I guess this is not where you started playing PvP. I mean, probably you already started playing GPL a long time ago, but never got close to any competitive format, right?
Yes. I don't think I played any. I haven't even played in the Show 6 format before I joined the Gym Breakers team.
Okay, and it's very rare that I can ask you this question, because nowadays every regional winner is a long time expert in PvP. So it's always rare to find a new player, new to the format, of course. So the question that I'm going to ask you is, how did you feel while approaching the Show 6 way, and what kind of adjustments you try to make your playstyle work and to start winning some actual games? Because everyone can't probably remember. It's too back in the time. So I can't even remember what adjustment I made to perform well in Show 6. But I'm very curious to know from a very fresh player who had started having a lot of success right now. So yeah, basically that was the question. The main adjustment that you had to make just to make your playstyle work in Show 6.
I would say that as you see in my kind of grand finals interview, kind of before the grand finals, Speedy did mention that I have a more dynamic play style. I tend to take bolder moves. Really, that just means, whenever there's an opportunity to make a move, when there's an opportunity to make a read, chances are I'll go for it, and it pays off. I mean, you'll see in my battle against final boss AJ, game 2, like I knew she was going to swap on my second bone club because I know she was the first. Like that's just an obvious move, and I recognized that in the moment, and with the grace of DR, he got the rock slide off. Right, I'm very aware that that was a rock slide that I was probably not meant to get off 100% of the time. So probably just like relying on these intuitions and letting these, playing to these intuitions, even though the risk is higher. Some of the high risk, high reward plays, perhaps I'm more willing to go for those. So I think that's like maybe if you have to characterize it the way I play, that might be how you would want to do it. And how I adjusted my playstyle, I think you'll see here on all 3 of my games, there's always one pick that's like kind of not in the meta, right? You have the Thievel from Vegas. The Galarian Rapidash for LAIC was pure bench pressure. It didn't do anything for me. I never brought it. So that was, in effect, a 5v6 in every single game because I just never brought the Rapidash. In the one game I did bring it, I lost because I never practiced with it. So, yeah, that was LAIC. And, of course, Toronto, the Shadow Gyarados came out like more than 60% of my games.
Yeah, it was actual game pressure in that case.
Yeah, I actually brought it. It was not just like, it's not just there. I actually brought it. And I think like what really helps me is that when you build a Show 6 team, like, of course you can go with like, any combination of the 6 within the top like 20 Pokemon. Right? You see like from in the Inadequates tournaments, I mean, you're a host yourself. You see the top usage. You could just grab a team from there. I think what works well for me is like playing with mons that maybe a bit more off meta, a bit more core breaky, and trying to use those to like a good effect. So I think that's kind of like why I think I found success, at least in Vegas and Toronto. Vegas, that the Thievel was very good for me in a lot of games. The one game I lost, it was a line onto an Annihilate. Even then, it was able to get a Simul. So, I think like taking risk and team building has been working out for me. Of course, making sure those in-game mechanics are sound, which is why I think it's always important to practice. But yeah, so taking a chance on kind of team building has been working for my Show 6 so far. I mean, it's still very young, and there's always ups and downs in everyone's tournaments. And I think, too, just from a playstyle point of view, being willing to take a bit more risks. Yeah.
I think you touched some very important points. It's great to hear from you that you actually play a lot with your gut, and you're willing to take more risks in certain situations, to take more chances, and not to be afraid of. Yeah, you're definitely not afraid of bringing one really off-meta Pokemon just to try and exert some effects and of various nature. It can be actual game pressure, can be bench pressure, it can be just a Pokemon that for sure players are not confident with. And for example, so the Galarian Rapidash, it's okay if you didn't use it. It makes sense if you didn't use it. Yes. But yeah, you never know whether you're gonna find a player who's 6 times weak to it, for example. So I think it's okay, especially in the LIC meta, where you basically could have just brought 3 Magikarps and Oranguru, Gyarados, and Dugong at the time. So yeah, I think it was even worth it, just worth the risk to bring 1 or even 2 Pokemon that were outside of the top 20 or top 30 of usage for that kind of meta. And I think, this kind of thinking is what eventually pays off. There are a lot of Show 6 long-time experts and long-time grinders who, over the years, played less and less boldly and more conservatively. And I think, yeah, I tend to consider myself one of those conservative players. I rarely take risks, and
Didn't you bring a Shadow Charger book?
I think yes, but it was actually good. I think.
I agree. And I was like, yo, what a pick. But anyway, please carry on.
But yeah, maybe yeah. Okay, so maybe not this season, but yeah, until last season or 2 years ago, I tend to not take too many risks, and this made also my play very predictable to the average grinder who maybe on paper had less experience than me overall in the game, but in the format they were on point and I wasn't. So, and the fact that I wasn't willing to make any risky plays or take any calculated risks, this is what doesn't take you to the top. And yeah, so you're a good example of this set of game values that need to be taken into account and in mind, because being able to use your gut and to not shield something, or to try and anticipate a high level move, knowing your opponent and knowing that he's gonna do, or he or she is gonna do something. Yeah, definitely always something to keep in mind. So before looking at your bracket, actually, I wanted to go through the top cut team with you.
Yep.
So of course, yeah, we already talked about Shadow Gyarados, your off meta, but also it's not only off meta, it's also anti meta, because it's pretty okay against Empoleon. I think it just destroys K-Wack. It beats Altavia pretty convincingly. It has definitely very nice and neutral matchups against Corviknight, against Gaslord. It's able to almost one-shot Talonflame, basically. Good play against Jellicent. So the only thing that really is afraid of is Azu and Stunfisk. Although Stunfisk still takes a lot of damage from Aqua Tail, so yeah, you still have some leeway. So I think everyone is curious to hear from you a little bit more about how you built your team and whether your Gyarados was the first choice and then you build the rest of the team around it, or you just needed an extra slot, a flex slot. You said, okay, I'm picking Gyarados this time.
Yeah, happy to share more. As I mentioned in numerous interviews, my good friend HDMV was also in the graphic there, actually directly to my right. We have the same exact team. We are good friends from our faction, shout out to on the road, and we love Shadow Gyarados. So the reason we built this team around it, actually. So it was not like we had 5 picks and then the 6th pick was like we could slot in like a nice core breaker. And no, the rationale was we were looking at the kind of top usage going like maybe like 2-3 days. Also, full disclosure, this team came out the night before, like around 1 a.m. before day 1. So it was not something that we had. So HDMV played a lot of Gyarados in like a limited meta for factions. I played a lot of regular Gyarados for LAIC. So it's not a Pokemon that we were unfamiliar with. We knew how to, we knew how to use it and how to manage its energy. So on that premise, we looked at Gyarados' potential, and exactly as you said, right? We were seeing a lot of K-Wack, right? Ufisk was falling out, and that's why you see there's only 1 or 2. How many Ufisks are in this top? I think
I count 2.
Yeah, 2.
Yes.
Colin and
Stone and Colin, and they incidentally have the same team. So yeah, maybe
right.
they build that together.
Correct. And are those 2 the only EU players in the top cut here? Perhaps. Yeah. So I think this is like
yeah. It looks like this.
Yeah. So perhaps it's just kind of the regional difference in sort of team building. But we noticed that Ufisk was just not a thing, at least on NA. So that gave us confidence in bringing Shadow Gyarados. You beat Empoleon, you beat Jellicent. Of course, I think Empoleon you have to you ideally want to bait an Aqua Tail, but you can tank a Dropet very comfortably. Well, not that. You live on like 40%. So it depends on how you feel. I think being comfortable with like low health Pokemon was also what helped me a lot this tournament. Like so many times I had like Empoleon on 10% health, but just its typing is just broken, right? And like you resist the rollouts, you resist the Dragon Breaths, right? And you resist the Fairy Winds. I relied a lot on that to kind of clutch out some end games. But yeah, good against Altaria, good against Corviknight. Good, decent matchups to Emp, decent matchup against Jellicent, can hit Guzzlord, destroys K-Wag, wards off Talonflame, outpaces, right? I think outpaces is a big thing. Outpaces Fur, outpaces Scizor. And so I think a big thing for us was that 9-turn Aqua Tail, which really allows for us to go like Aqua Tail out, right? Or we back up like a lot of energy and then get out, right? So in some of the Azu matchups, like we're not even that scared when our Gyarados is locked onto an Azu because you can just farm up, perhaps bail into something, or you're lucky catch a move on something, and later on that energy does go a very long way. So yeah, Shadow Gyarados was our pick. We built the team around it. We decided to forego a Fairy just because of the prevalence of a lot of Steel types, and Empoleon and Scizor were all over. Like every team has. Yeah, I'm looking at this team. Every team has a Scizor or Empoleon.
Or Empoleon.
Yeah. You have some
Steelix, or yeah.
Exactly. You have maybe even 2 steals, right? SS Thorn with 2 steals. Myself with 2 steals. Will D with 2 steals. It's hard to bring a Fairy in our opinion, so we just dropped a Fairy. You'll see our teams. We just like 3 flyers and like stuff to support it. So that's kind of the idea behind team building. We looked for Gyarados first, and then we built a team around it.
Okay. Yeah, that's always nice to hear that the team hero is actually, yeah. I mean, or what turns out to be the team hero was actually the one that you had planned to be the team hero from the start all along. So yeah, I mean, it must be rewarding at least knowing that you correctly identified what would be the MVP for the tournament. So yeah, team building on point.
No, I have to give a lot of credit to HDMV. He's the main inspiration, and he's a phenomenal team builder. And I learned a lot from him and the way he looks at the meta. So yeah, I'd say this not only risks in like gameplay, but also risks in team building paying off here. So worked out.
Yeah, and yeah, I think the meta situation in Toronto was peculiar because. We all knew that K-Wag was on the rise, and the rest of the ground types were just going down. Ufisk was just a faded memory of what the what Ufisk used to be in the previous regionals. Also, Azumarill didn't seem to be, having the same popularity that used to have, although. Yeah, you could see some Azus here and there, but I mean, not really the major role that you used to see to Azumarill back in the day. And then yeah, a lot of Pokemon just even play neutral against Gyarados or just get dumped so hard. Yeah, so maybe just one counter. So either Florges or Azu as the only counter. For example, yeah, if I look at the other 9-time Clasher team, yeah, it's either Azu on Gyarados or Gyarados is going to make a mess.
Yeah, I mean, Lapras is just equally insane.
True.
So, but still, there's play, right? We're not like wall or anything. There's still an area for flexible play there.
Yeah, and you could also do. I mean, you could also try and bait the Azu or the Lapras out with K-Wag, for example. And so, yeah, I imagine the Empoleon, K-Wag, Gyarados core trio was just extremely functional for your play. But yeah, looking at it, for example, Satire's team also had no real answers to Gyarados. So yeah, the best answer is Corsola, which still takes a lot of damage from Crunch. And even Cradily is he's not even that good against it.
You just get so much,
Yeah. So I think there was really one of those choices that I think there are a lot of players who actually legitimately identify what very strong candidate to be the meta breaker, and maybe all of them are. So, for example, Shadow Gyarados, but I see the Shadow Primate on Doombugs too. For example, Shadow Primate also dumps so hard the Altaria for red and Empoleon Core.
Exactly.
And but it kind of didn't really work out for him because I don't know. It's hard to build a time. It's very hard to build a team around it, and he had to make a very RPS team with the rest of the 5 slots in order to make Primate work, just to make it feel safe in a team of 6. But yeah, so he was extremely weak to some picks, but also maybe very strong to other picks. But the opponents had to bring those in any case, and so yeah. I saw a lot of Doombugs matches, and all of them, or basically most of them, were pretty RPS. So, for example, Jelly on Gaslord or Gaslord on the Fairy type. So it was unfortunate. But I think the Shadow Primate was a very nice source for the meta. But just the matchmaking makes 80% of the work there. So maybe in a different tournament, in a different group, maybe Shadow Primate would have been fantastic and Shadow Gyarados would have been terrible. We will never know.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing I will say is that, like, fighting types, you have with the fighting, fairy, steel kind of RPS core. So when you bring Primate as a core breaker, you tend to fall into, you tend to make opponents' lines into yours a little bit more RPS-y. Whereas I feel for Gyarados, you're afraid of electrics. You're afraid of that Ufisk. And I feel like Ufisk is a more neutral Pokemon you could dance around. Like, I don't mind having my Ufisk on anything that's not the Gyarados or the Corviknight. And even Corviknight is like you can still hit back. Whereas I feel like if your Primate's on the Wigglytuff, it's over. Like, that's just a free farm down, and that's bad. Also, I will mention as like maybe a nice segue, if I was almost matched into SS Thorn and I would have gotten absolutely butchered by his team, I have no answer to Shadow Steelix if my Marowak's not on it. So I count my blessings on those ends as well.
Yeah, that's definitely. For example, I was extremely weak to the Fortress and Abomasnow Snow Core from Patoman this weekend, and I just ended up facing it. And sometimes you just need to be lucky until the very end, not to face the Pokemon you decided to be weak to. And but of course, you just have to play your cards extremely well until the very end. So almost everything just comes from you, and then you just have to hope for a little bit of luck. But overall, definitely Shadow Gyarados seemed. I mean, it definitely did a lot of work. And any other Pokemon that you were almost putting in and you decided it wasn't worth?
I was thinking about Clefable. I know Tauntaun Batuse made it work, but Tauntaun Batuse is different. Like, he's so good at the game, as are like you and everyone else in Top Cut, to be fair. I thought about Clefable. It's just, again, fairies are just hard to bring right now, at least for Toronto. The conclusion was that we don't like fairies because you just get absolutely demolished by all the steals. And that's why Azu came up, right? Azu was a response as like a fairy that doesn't hard lose the steals. So that is my understanding of why Azu suddenly started coming back. And it was not around when I played in LAIC. Not LAIC, of course it wasn't around. Then Vegas, it wasn't around in Vegas. So Clefable, thought about it, didn't really like it that much just because like you just get walled. At least Fortress you can like play around with, debuffs and Trailblaze buffs. That's about it. I thought about bringing Guzzlord myself, but I think if Guzzlord never caught on, then I would bring Guzzlord. But it caught on too much. I mean, you see here, like we have like I'm looking at like at least 5-6 teams having Guzzlord, and of course it was even more prevalent in Birmingham or Merida. Guzzlord was everywhere because it was such a good core breaker that I feel like it became a meta status. Other than that, I haven't really thought about it too much. I mean, Empoleon Altar is very staple, very solid. Shadow Marowak, it just became popular. It felt hard not to bring it myself, especially when it covers Gyarados so well.
Yeah. Yeah, the Toronto one was a weird meta because from Toronto to Birmingham, the meta changed again. And but in that particular moment, I think a coincidence of too few Stamfisks and not too many Azus yet made a soft spot for Gyarados to emerge. Because the main fairy at that point was still Florges. Also, Wigglytuff was not this prevalent, at least not in the top cut. And so Gyarados had a very nice niche to stay in. But yeah, let's go to the tournament. So I want to know from you what your feelings were at the beginning. So of the tournament. You see your group, and what's the first thing that you think?
I was thinking I was screwed. I was like, it's over. We got. I looked at the bracket and I was like, holy crap, this is a tough bracket, right? Let's just list some of the names off here: SS Thorn, 610 Hero, Iomero, Torian, Keysynth, Out of Pocket. BBEX had a great run previously, right? So
yeah,
it's more than anything SS Thorn and Pocket or jumped out to me because it's very likely I'd face either one of those. And I saw Pocket was on my side of the bracket, and we were at the tables. And then I said hi to Pocket. He was like, "Yep, I'll see you at." He was like, "Yep, I'll see you in the quarterfinals." But he didn't make it to the quarterfinals, and I was like, "What happened? Like, what happened at the round 2?" So, as I mentioned, right, like getting, of course, coming home with the trophy is not just about like playing well and team building well. It's also a high element of luck and who you face, because I feel like the story of this tournament would have been very different if I had to face Pocket in round 3. And it would also be very different if I had to face SS Thorn in round 4. So I think, we can go over the teams later if you want of these players, but I think it would have been tougher because Pocket, even in a neutral matchup, he just has way more experience and is a lot more seasoned player than I am. And we've also played against each other in LAIC, so he knows how I play. And I wouldn't count out a player like Pocket to remember the way someone plays. So, yeah, that was my first impression. I was like, holy crap, we're screwed. And then as the match went on, I was like, okay, getting bailed out here. We might have a chance.
So you see Drifblim, Obstagoon, Raichu, and Galarian Weezing, and you see, okay, so how am I gonna do that? Because I see the Shadow Drifblim and the regular Drifblim, and actually I would be pretty scary of that Drifblim if I were using your team, because if I don't put Ferret on it, things might get uncomfortable really quick. And they have the Obstagoon and they have the Weezing for the Ferret and the Annihilate. So I can't really use Ferret against this team. So talk me through a little bit of your streams of consciousness, what you thought, if you cursed as soon as you saw that team, and how you barely managed to win that round, because I see it 2-1. So they actually were able to steal a game of you.
Yeah, so I think if had it been, first of all, my round 1 opponent, as with as is the case with most round one opponents, usually are more hobbyists than actual, true competitive PvP grinders. So they come up with these like random teams. It seems random until you realize it's like extremely like it kind of makes sense, right? You have the Driftbloom as like a core breaker into my team. And mind you, this is not a Shadow Ball Driftbloom. This is an Icy Wind Mystical Fire Driftbloom.
Oh gosh.
Right. And so I was like, okay, so it hits Corviknight too. So what can I bring? And I was like, I have to bring Furt. But if my Furt is not on it, then I just get absolutely run through by Obstagoon, Annihilate, and Weezing. And exactly what happened game one was that you led Drifblim into Malataria. I caught the Icy Wind on my Furt, and out comes a regular Annihilate, which doesn't even need a Shielded Trailblaze because it's the regular, much less the fact that I'm already debuffed from the Icy Wind.
Yeah.
So that matchup came down to a CMP tie at the very end with my Marowak. My Marowak was, of course, pretty free into this team, assuming that it avoids the Driftblim.
The Driftblim, yeah.
So I kind of relied heavily on that to kind of claw back a game 2 and game 3. Also, he brought the Raichu for absolutely no reason. Like, I think that's again, not a PvP intensive person. But game 1 was just, I think the alignment was tough. And I also didn't realize that Gastrodon wins CMP over Marowak. I guess I learned that the hard way.
It's slightly more attack weighted, but
yeah. So I guess I learned that there, and it was just really unfortunate. Game 1, just getting didn't get the lead and the swap alignment that I was hoping for, and sometimes these things happen.
Yeah,
I'm very lucky, by the way.
And then you managed to bounce back. And mud slapping through your opponent's team, avoiding the Driftbloom, I suppose.
Yeah, I remember Driftbloom was I actually brought the Shadow Gary, which made him bring Raichu game 3, and then I didn't bring it. So I will mention that generally it's a bit tougher to prepare against opponents like these because they can play more. Whereas, I can reason about why Final Boss AG might catch a move. I cannot reason about anything this guy would do because there is no thought. There is no rationale behind it. I swap because I want to, not because I'm trying to catch a move or because I think I'm trying to bait out a Pokemon. They just swap a Pokemon, and I'm just like, it's impossible to read. So you could make an argument that your first 2 games could go in any direction. There's also a chance that you match into a really good player and also get bailed out round 1 or 2. But I think that's the risk against players who are relatively newer to the game.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe they are new to the game for you, to your eyes, but maybe they've been playing Battle Frontier or Chain Breakers, and you're not aware of that, and so they actually know the mechanics very well, and you are unaware, and until they surprise you with some very weird play that you didn't think about. So yeah, those are the good players in disguise who make you think that they are recreational players until they completely smash you, and they are also unseated because maybe you just don't like playing. Yeah, maybe they just don't like playing this kind of format. But yeah, I just realized they actually played from round 1, which is a very rare event because, of course, you just started playing competitively in the Play Pokemon circuit from this season, for this year. So you don't have any previous results to back your seeding with, and which made your run even more praiseworthy because you start to do one more round. And had you lost early on, you would have had a very long losing bracket day. So yeah, I think that's even more impressive because people nowadays usually, yeah, they win regionals, but they almost always start from round 2 because they already have some sort of pre-seeding or whatever. So yeah, not really great. And then okay, so this is actually a pretty meta team you faced.
Yeah.
So, but I guess the shot Gyarados just made all the difference in the world against this line because it was pretty unchecked.
I just brought for Gary Corv all 2 games and just like it was clean, nothing too stressed out.
Yeah, just had to play with energy. You didn't even need switch most of the time. You could just I suppose Altaria. I mean, either Altaria or Empoleon or whatever, even Corviknight. I mean, the third one could have been anything, and still you could have won. You could have say swapped Gyarados in the worst case, on the worst situations, and
absolutely,
you would have gotten away with it.
Yeah, so it was pretty free into this team, fortunately.
And then you face the one who sent Pocket to the loser bracket. So tell me more about this little green owl over here.
Yeah, so this is the diabolical team of Dartrix and then like 5x weak to ground. Well, not really 5x weak to ground because Ape and Scizor are not, but like it's in that spirit. Like it's just like one big game of like RPS in my opinion. And the reason why they were able to send Pocket to like the loser side was because that Dartrix was just aligned on the Gastro all 3 games, or at least 2 of the 3 games. I know Pocket won 2, and that was scary because I'm not a big fan of RPS matchups because those can really go in anyone's favor. But I was able to make the line calls that needed to be made. I think game 1 was Dartrix, Shadow Drapion, Morpeko, classic GBL line from like 2-3 seasons ago. Was able to play into that and not let my Kanto Marowak get baited out with the Drapion. Game 2, there was a slight adjustment, but I think Corviknight's pretty good into this team where as long as it's not on the Morpeko, so I just ran ABA to the Morpeko.
Even Morpeko takes a lot of damage from the sound attacks and the air cutters alone.
True. You can just like shoot. You can ideally, if they don't bait, shield through it, maybe, or like at least like lose it. But like
if you boost, I think you might be able to.
Oh, well, that's a matchup that I did not practice for, but I'm glad I never was in that position where my Corviknight was on that Morpeko. But a very fortunate line calls, and unfortunate for Pocket, obviously. So that was a big break, I think, in my day 1 run.
Yeah. Okay. So at this point, I'm just seizing the opportunity to ask you these other questions. Is this then, so round 3, is this then the moment when you started realizing, okay, I think I'm actually gonna make it until the day 2?
So, in my opinion, I never really, the thought of making day 2 didn't cross my mind until I took out Final Boss AJ. Like, I didn't want to presuppose anything because I'm, and I believe it even more so now that Kelsey and I have made it to the grand finals, is that anything can happen to any good player, no matter like how much momentum you have. Like, you still have to be on your best and never underestimate your opponents and play humbly is kind of the way I approach it. But definitely the momentum was encouraging. And for me, my goal for this tournament, because I came in here with a decent record in Vegas and LAIC, very fortunately. So my goal here was to get some points. So I was like, top 64. We get top 64. This is a win. It's worth it because I'm already seeing my faction mates for the first time. Some points and seeing faction mates, trip is worth it already for me. So my goal was just to get top 64. And so I think by round 3, round 4, I was like, okay, there is momentum, but we will not imagine too much. I think when I reached the finals, I was feeling pretty decent. So final boss AJ, they're no opponent to underestimate, and sure, maybe not the accolades that Thorn and Pocket have, but still, very seasoned, very talented. So I don't think at any point I was like, oh, we're chilling, like, we're locked in. Like, I didn't think that way at all. Yeah.
I'm curious to ask you about so the 6-10 hero matchup. I see a Shadow Altaria, which is actually pretty good into your team. Because you have no fairy for the reasons you already explained. But yeah, they kind of have to lean on Florges and Lickitung to stop your Shadow Gyarados. So how did the games go against him?
Yeah. I admit I don't remember them fully. I have to watch back the day one clips. But Shadow Gyarados came round 1 and did not come round 2. I think 610 Hero compensated a lot for the Shadow Gyarados by bringing the Lickitung,
Yeah.
Florges, and Altaria. I believe that might have been his line, actually, all the 2 games. I think the Ape came in the second game or the first game. I can't remember. But essentially, I was able to dance around this in the same way that I danced around the finals. We lead Shadow Gyarados into the Altaria. Doesn't matter whether they catch or not. We always build back up, or we get the Aqua Tail off. And when the floor just comes into the safe swap, we just bank all the energy in the world, and we go into the Altaria. And it's just a wall, right? And it's like, what do you do as the Fortress? You just throw like chilling water, and then I have like 2 sky attacks loaded. Yes, it's debuff, but like when he brought back in his Shadow Altaria, I just got both of these off and got a shield. And I came back in with my Gyarados, gave up my last shield, farmed it down, and then there's just way too much energy on the Gyarados. I don't think that's exactly how it played out, but in my mind, that's kind of how it would have. That's a scenario that could have played out. Of course, Fur is great into this team. Actually, I can take that back. It is not that great into this team, but I believe I brought it. Did I bring it?
Well, except for Shadow Annihilate, I think the Fur has a lot of things to say against the other 5. So yeah, it makes sense on your side just to bring it.
I brought the K-Whack. I brought the K-Whack, I remember, because yes, I brought the K-Whack both games. I remember now because I had the K-Whack in the back in game 1, and I ran it back, I believe, because I believe the line was just solid here. And round 1 K-Whack was in. We were up a Mud Slap, even shields into the Lickitung. So that was a great matchup. Game 2, Empoleon and K-Whack just fast move central. Like if the floor just couldn't take out both of those. So those really worked out, I think. I think the K-Whack was actually the MVP more so than anything into this. And I'm glad I recognized it there, actually. Yeah, it's pretty – because you don't bring the K-Whack because I always have a Shadow Gyarados. And I just I outpace and it's so bad for you. So, yeah. Now I remember, the K-Whack was big, was the Mon against a 610 hero.
Yeah. What about the final boss AJ games? Because, now we're talking about the winner finals of your group. And it's a pretty standard team, basically. Yeah, just the Tentacruel, which is different. Fun fact, I had been trying the Tentacruel myself, and in a practice tournament where also she was playing Tentacruel, and we faced in a Tentacruel mirror match. It was very fun to see. But I ended up not bringing Tentacruel in Birmingham. She ended up bringing it in Toronto. And Tentacruel didn't really have a clear role, I think. It was both flexing and trying to bring a different Azu counter, and overall I think your team was just more solid. The Altaria was good into everything, and also the Gyarados was also good into everything basically. And you could keep doing ABA Dragon as you did for most of your games in the grand finals as well. I think that the Gyarados lead and Altaria in the back, I think it was just the way to go, almost always, because even against Florges, just take a shield because you do win the 0, and then if Florges wants just to shield and farm down after trade blazing it, okay, and just put in Altaria. So throw me 17 moves. What are you gonna do after?
I agree. Really quickly, I guess against Final Boss AJ, the FERT was free, came every single game. And the reason I know FERT's free is because I've actually tried Tentacruel myself in scrims. I've thought about it. I actually have it built. It just fairies weren't a thing, and no one's ever afraid of Azu, right? Like it's good. It's it's great neutrals. It's just so slow, and you're never really afraid of it, even as like K-Wack, for example.
Yeah.
So Tentacle never ended up bringing it. So FERT was really good here. Emp was good here. And FERT was the MVP for Final Boss AJ, for sure. Especially after I got a Shadow Ball catch on FERT, which was, I just knew the casters would love that. I also knew Home Slice Henry would love that, which he did. Because
it was very rewarding and satisfying when the double resisted move catch happens.
And sometimes it's just like relying on that intuition again.
It
doesn't work out 100% of the time. I've failed like a lot of catches for sure, but this one was very fortunate to have worked out.
True. Okay, so and let's wrap with the day one. So for this, I'm gonna ask you, what's your top moment or your bottom moment? Like the lowest, so the lowest moment on the highest moment when you were hyped or when you were discouraged, and how did you try and get on track, or get your feelings on track, or get your mindset back in place to lock in for the rest of the rounds? I mean, you always won in your group in day one, so probably not really low moments, but I mean, there must have been a moment where, I guess probably like the very first game of the first round, when you told yourself, no, I can't lose right now so early. Just let me win at least 1 or 2 rounds.
Yeah, especially against a team. My good friend, C-Chen Foray, if you're on leaderboards, you definitely know this guy. But C-Chen Foray actually faced a similar team in round 1, and he just got RPS, right? So what can you do? So game 1, round 1 was a low. I remember that feeling. I was like, is this it? Am I gonna go? Is it actually the 0-2? I think that was one. Day 2, there were definitely moments of lows. Like I got steamrolled in winners finals, and then the Stone matchup was scary because he actually beat my teammate, HDMV, who ran the exact same team. If you look at the final stage, right? So I was like, okay, it's not going to be easy because he has a Ufisk too. So on paper, that was a bad matchup. Some plays and some misplays allowed me to take that, but that was scary. But I wouldn't call it a low. I was excited at that point to be there, so I was already happy, right? And I think most of what happened in day number 2, the reason why there are no lows, I would say, is because like when I lost to Kelsey, I was like, she deserves it. She played like an absolute boss. Like I know. I'm okay bowing out like this. Against Stone as well, I was like, I'm okay bowing out like this. Of course, like I didn't want to make it easy for them, but if I played my best, and at the end of the day, if we make a misplay, we learn from it. If we just get RPS, we learn from those line buildings. So day number 2 wasn't really anywhere, but like it was a down. Day number 1, that first game was tragic for me. And then in terms of ups, against Stone. That my game 3 win against him was like, I led into K-Whack into the Altaria. He chipped and got like on the third matchup, which was just like not winnable. And I even gave up a shield because I just did not know what to do. Like, it was so thoroughly cooked that I was like, what do I even do? Like, so I just put up a shield, and Caleb and stuff were like, he put up a shield. What is he doing? And then I'm like, I was like, and I think back and I'm like, I just did not know what to do. And he had Ufisk for my Empoleon in the back. So it was just like RPS through and through. But, some fortunate turn of events, I was actually able to win that one. So at that point, I was like, I was feeling pretty excited.
So if I was able to win this back at this point, I'm probably capable just to take the gold. I guess maybe you didn't put much thought on this, but it must have been a huge morale boost.
I think yes, and I think against Elam and Lawson Cody as well. Those 2 games. Against Elam, I think that was a big morale boost because I think he's like a huge name, right? It's like on the likes of like playing like Nighttime or like playing like Pocket, right? So I'm very excited to have gotten that win. Lawson Cody was also extremely seasoned. A couple lucky catches also helped out there as well. So yeah, I'd say those are pretty big. And Kelsey was just fun games through and through. We played Kelsey and I played like so many games against each other that it was like there's no high or low. They just kind of went by, in my opinion. Yeah, very fortunately, I think like day 2, like teams you practice against become more of the standard that you do see, because the top players, everyone's kind of running the same flavor of teams. Gyarados put in so much work in day 2. Stone Collection, I didn't bring Gyarados at all, and probably for good reason, because the youth has just kept coming, and I just knew Gyarados has no play here, and he brought Azu and Ufisk together on the same team. So I'm just like,
yeah, I mean, makes sense.
I was like, oh, thank goodness I did not bring the Gyarados, because otherwise it's dead weight. So yeah, I'd say like Gyarados definitely paid off well, and I think the scrims paid off well here as well. Just having practiced against some of these teams.
Okay, but before facing Star Collection, you had your winter finals here, and you lose 1-3. So what didn't go wrong? What did go wrong here?
Yeah, I did not play well against the Guzzlord, Florges Imp. Well, because I never played her before at this point, right? And what I noticed was after my game losses is that the Empoleon more or less has to be in the back more than it needs to be in the lead, because we need to catch that Florges if we want to have any chance of success. Because I was leading the Empoleon into her Empoleon, and I learned that I lose CMP, and I would just lose the Empoleon there. And a little bit of health on Empoleon goes a very long way into this team, because she was bringing Florges Guzzlord Emp. There is no fast refresher into my Emp, right? So even a little bit of health on the Emp goes a super long way, and throwing that away so early, which is what I did in my match winners finals, was I think what mainly lost me the game, because my Shadow Gyarados is like, what is it going to do in the back without a Mon to swap into and sponge all the fast and charge attacks? So I think that's what I learned. I also learned that her tendency against me was to lead the Emp and lead the Florges. She would sometimes swap out to like lead the Guzzlord, but it's not often. So I would feel generally confident in the adjustment I made, which is leading Altaria. It has play into all 3 of these. So you'll notice that I'm just running Altaria lead with Empoleon swap or Gyarados in the back. It's just like these 3 every like 6 out of the 7 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we will jump to the grand final footage to have a clear demonstration of how you adjusted and so that you could turn the tables and transform this 1-3 into a 3-0 and 3-1. So a very powerful reset. Oops. Okay. Especially because I think that Kelsey kept bringing the same things all games, basically.
Her and I were both great. Yeah.
Yeah, so she really did. I mean, yeah, so she couldn't bring the Talonflame because it had nowhere to go. She couldn't bring the Kwak because he had 3 flying type Pokemon. So yeah, she was somewhat restricted to those 3, and but your best answers to her best 3 were actually pretty unchecked by a team. So I think you kind of had an edge. You just had to use your weapon well and just try not to make mistakes. Try to keep locked in and play your cards the best you could. So yeah, you can talk through your games. I won't interfere.
Yeah. So this is winners best grand finals. Yep. As I mentioned before, we're leading the Altaria because it's just I wanted to play safe, and it's working out here. So I don't at this point I don't care at all about switch. If she switches in here, something I was learning throughout was how the Gyarados Guzzlord matchup plays. But usually what I like doing is committing a shield, just farming it all the way down. Here I throw on alignment because I thought she'd brutal swing me, but she takes it extra and I just lose with the tail. At this point on, I almost always throw Aqua Tail. I never throw Crunch into the Guzzlord. They do about the same damage, and it's not worth fishing for the debuff most of the time. Game 1, I realized I got kind of bailed out because here I come with the Empoleon, let this through, and now I believe it's the Empoleon Mirror, correct? And yeah, at this point, I just needed to get this Empoleon out of here. I was up. I undercharged a little bit in case she does let it go, but you want to protect the floor. My Empoleon's been nothing but clutch, so we swap out here. We get the snipe down. At this point, I was expecting her to come in Guzzlord, and if she did come with a Guzzlord, I would not throw the Sky Attack because I would need the farm with the Empoleon to get the double Hydro off against the Florges here. But she came in with the Florges, so you see that Empoleon, a little bit of health from the Empoleon just going all the way. But there's a very likely world where she comes in with the Guzzlord into my low health Altar, and I accidentally just throw the Sky Attack, and then that just loses me the game right away. So there is a win con there for me still, but it's more exploitable, and I definitely think that it was just very even throughout. It's hard, you don't know who the winner is until the very last moments, and she made that super super close.
Yeah, I honestly thought. Yeah, I honestly thought you would lose this game until the very end, because I thought that you had more lose condition than win conditions.
Exactly.
I
agree. I think she definitely had more win conditions. I just think she should have come in with the Guzzlord, because it's very likely that I'll try to get off my energy. Right, and if I throw a Sky Attack into the Guzzlord, it's immediately game over for me. Because she even gets a 1 fairy win head start with her Florges, which is just bad.
And then you swap the lead.
Yeah, how does this work? Okay, yeah, we just get off Hydros here, and then I believe this is a game of Simul Swap where we both got to the third Hydro, and we both just swapped into. She swapped into Guzzlord, I swapped into
Dragon. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, as this goes on here. Yep. So yep. Okay. Yep. Yeah. We both have a little chuckle, and I learned from my previous game we get the Aqua Tail off on good timing, and we just one shield farm all the way down. Actually, no, you can't even do that. What am I talking about? We just throw this move right away, and the thing is that we outpace, and see this is where the pacing just becomes so useful, right? Because I get this chip off, and I come into my Altaria. Where's the energy going to go?
Yeah,
right?
There's just an energy sponge, and unless the Florges has the Summon Voice, there's nothing that she can do here.
So at this point, I'm just like sponging all this energy, and then we get up the sky attack. She kind of has to shield, but like again, I don't fear your charge attacks, right? So she's trying to get more fairy winds in, and right, we get this off. And at this point, I have like the imp is just too low here, right? Like it gets dragging back down. So you'll see like the adjustment in swapping the Altaria in, sponging that energy, and Gyarados being able to outpace really, really was paying up. And I think that's at the point I was realizing, oh, okay, like I should be more comfortable going down shields on Gyarados. I think there might even be a game where I just like two shield the Gyarados, and then I won that, right? Because you just dance around all this fortress energy.
Yeah, especially once you managed just to land both your Hydro in the mirror, you weren't really afraid of Apollyon anymore. So yeah, at that point, you just had to rely on either dragon and get as much damage as possible off.
Yeah. Okay, so here we get a great lead, but this still became a little bit dicey. You know, we're throwing good timing here. All comes in. Yep, fair enough. And at this point, I still have to throw because you don't get the Dragon Breath down, which is kind of unfortunate. This must be a good Guzzlord, and I think that has like a Dragon Breath breakpoint.
Yeah.
This farm now is unfortunate, but getting the Sky attack off is quite nice.
Yeah, and you still have the alignment you want. Although now, these two trade blazes are. The second one can be uncomfortable.
So we have to shield this. So I do give up a shield here, and then the M comes in. We just build up a little bit. Can argue that it's unnecessary. I think that's a bit of a misplay on my end. And we come in the Gyarados. And here you'll see we just tank a Drill Peck. We're not afraid of this. And Metal Town is resisted. And we just go straight for the Aqua Tail. The shield has to come up.
Yeah.
All right. And then at this point, Kelsey needs 2 Drill Pecks. We also outpace, right? So we're getting there. And I think what Kelsey also realizes is that she needs another move for the Empoleon in the back. So she catches this, which I think is her win condition. So again, like crazy play from her. I guess the overfarm before coming in the Gyarados paid off here because I barely outpaced the double, right? And also this 1 HP survive was just did not expect it. So in the moment you don't realize it, but like, even just then I was like, oh, it's a bit of a misplay to stay in with my amp and farm up. But had I swapped out even a turn later, I would have lost that game.
Yeah.
For Gary. So I admit that there were times where I think things just you just get lucky. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't farm up to that point exactly knowing that like there's going to be an end game like that. It just so happened to be, and maybe I should practice predicting end games a bit better. So, but that happened to work out, and that was just so clutch.
Yeah. So, so far everything clicked. All the plays that you had in mind just smoothly worked. So yeah, for the reset, now you are leading Gyarados for the first time. So yeah, what are your thoughts? Are you gonna play the same way you used to play with Altaria in the lead? So is the plan basically that?
I think second set I didn't lead Altaria at all. We was Gyarados, K-Wack, and then Gyarados. I might have led Altaria, but then I lost that game because there was Jelly in the back, which is a fantastic adjustment by her. But I think like what I'm realizing here is that in game 2, what worked out really well for me was sponging energy on Altaria and Emp. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. We're leading the Gyarados. We're getting as much of an advantage. I think maybe this match is where I like commit all my shields on it, and then we just dance around at the end. We never let our Gyarados get locked on something. We build up, commit shields on the Gyarados, and just let Empoleon and Altaria sponge all those out. Because you'll notice in the back, where does that energy really go, right? Like Altaria is just so bulky. Like we're not afraid of Drill Pecks ever. So that's the reason why I switched my. It's not even switch. It's just realizing something was working in the reset games and just applying that here to what I believe might be a little bit greater of an effect.
Are you willing to commit any shields against leads like Guzzlord? Because the idea is that I think you kind of need energy on your own Empoleon in order to win the mirror also, and you know that Empoleon is always in the back. But if you go down shields now, it might be hard to come back from a situation where the Kelsake's Empoleon has an energy or shield advantage.
I agree. I think we don't go down all shields. We're happy to go down one shield, or at least like relative to the opponent. So if it's like if they have 2, we have 1. If they have 1, we have none.
Okay. So let's say. Okay, good timing.
Yeah, but we
fishing for the debuff.
Fish for the debuff. We get it, which allows the farm down here. So that actually pays off, right? Okay. Yeah. So you see, I just go down both shields here. But we have a whole Aquatail lead, right? And we outpace a double Aquatail before the first move gets off here.
Yeah, which is huge.
Right. We throw this here. And so she has a shield, right? And then we go alt. And it's like this energy is just so like what a waste of a Trailblaze, right? But she has to go through for the Trailblaze because you have to soften this Altaria up a little bit. So really relying, and we're still not in Dropek range.
Yeah, there was she's in a pickle right now because she knows that your Empoleon is a third, so she doesn't really want to preserve the Florges. But against Altaria, Florges is kind of I mean, you ideally want to have Florges in different scenarios against Altaria, not that one.
Right. So I think that first game of the winner set was all the things I've noticed that were working coming together, being willing to go down, commit to the Gyarados, and then being willing to spending energy on the Altaria, letting the Empoleon kind of do its thing at the end. I think that's good.
Oh yeah, this is the game when she takes the gelatin out of the bag.
Yeah, and
you get demolished.
Yeah, I think I even let a Shadow Ball come through. I was like, I have to call bait and like, yes. So up to this point, I was like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna play this the exact same way. And of course, like I adjust what I lead based on like what I think she will lead. So there's a bit, and I don't get this right like all the time.
Yeah, you were calling the Florges, and so it makes sense to leave the Empoleon in the back. Yeah. Had you known, of course, you would have sent the Empoleon in against the Guzzlord. Had you known that she was hiding in the gel set, so very nice adjustment on that side.
So I let this go, expecting the Florges, and then I just get, this is just a fantastic play by her. Like, and I actually learned from this game immediately by bringing the K-Wack in the next game. Not to spoil it. Yeah, at this point, I just let it go. And at this point, I actually tell her that I didn't mean to throw that. Sorry. Didn't want to waste our time. So Jellicent was great for her.
So your thoughts after this?
Up to this point, I was like, I still feel pretty good, but I was my thought was like, should I bring the Ferret? Main thought was like, do I bring the Ferret? And that's why this prep took a little bit long, because I just didn't know whether or not to bring it. It's just so tough when the Guzzlord and Florges come every game.
Yeah, especially because you really don't have anything to scare the Guzzlord off. So yeah,
exactly.
you know she's always using the Guzzlord.
Yeah, exactly. So then if we cannot rely on Ferret, we got to rely on something else, which is why I brought the K-Wack. And this K-Wack just wins me the game. We're tanky. We take that brutal swing, and yeah, this puts us. This play is questionable to some degree, maybe because I was expecting the jelly in the back, but maybe I was expecting the jelly in the back, which is why I brought out the Emp.
You're still out of hydro cannon range, so
Yes.
you should be able to fire both your moves, which is huge.
So but I never intended to fire the second one because I think, again, like this energy is not useful here. I bank it, I get out, and I know that whatever's in the back is not going to have a must-have resist because that's it. You know what?
Yeah.
If she brings a Talonflame in the back, then she deserves to win that game. But like, but she's not. She's never bringing that Talonflame, right? So here the KWAG just like puts in so much work, and this is where the fraudulence of floor just kind of gets exposed because like we strip both shields, we combo back with the Hydra that we advanced early, and then now we're just in a strictly winning position because we have a full health Altaria, right? And it's again that KWAC just doing God's work here for us.
Yeah, she was too soft to KWAC. At the point where I was actually expecting for the subsequent game that she would use Jellicent again, or even trying the Hail Mary Talonflame, just because at that point you need to come up with anything, as much as it's crazy it seems, but you need to go out of the box. Yeah, you need just to think out of the box at the point because it's clear that the regular lines of thought are not working against you because your best three are better than her best three. So yeah, I was kind of suffering for her because I can see her. She's really struggling in finding the right key to beat you.
Yeah, I think once I realized how good Altaria was, my game 1 against her in winners finals, I brought the Corviknight over the Altaria, and which I just lost that so quickly. I do admit that as the games went on, I felt a bit more comfortable because Altaria is just so good into this team, right? We want to get a shield here if must, and I agree with Kelsey here. Like you want to get shields down if your Jellicent wants to be effective against my Gyarados. So she gets the shield. I let her get a couple more tails in. She gets this, and then at this point is alignment, quick swap. Yeah, here it gets a little bit tricky because I have to shield that. Yeah, but then at this point I thought she had the ball because I didn't realize that if you baited a Surf, you could get to the. I thought that you could get back to the ball in 3, but you can't. So this was a Surf. I live it. So my intention. Okay, first I think that was just so that was a strict misplay on my end. And actually, I want to talk about this endgame a little bit after it happens. I'll just let it play out first. Yeah, at this point, she was on 1 HP. I think the Gyarados would have got the snipe down anyway. But a couple things at this grand finals. I think one is that I made a misplay. I intended to throw 1 before that 3rd Hex, not CMP her. Because I wouldn't, if I got the shield, I could fire off the crunch on the CMP. And I would win that CMP and I would have a much cleaner game. So I think this also happened against Elam where I accidentally overtapped by 1 fast move. Corviknight into his Ghost Lord. So I think that's something that I want to make sure I have down pat. And that endgame there, I think there was a win condition if she threw the Trailblaze right away. I don't think she didn't throw it right away. And I think double Trailblaze cleanly knocks out an Empoleon. So letting me get that first Hydro was really good for me. Because even if she got the last Hydro Trailblaze off, which you could argue that I should have thrown my... I think that it's weird. I was a very tunneled vision because I thought the Metal Sounds would KO, which is why I didn't throw the Hydro at the very end there. See, she had the Trailblaze 1 turn.
Yeah, and she would have denied you the last Metal Sound.
Correct. So I think she would have won this game, but she didn't throw it, allowing me to get the Hydro off first.
Yeah, I think she already surrendered at that point.
Yes, but I think I'm watching it back and I was like, no, she actually had that game. Empoleon against Florida just looked so bad on paper, but it wasn't over. And then I made a mistake by not throwing the Hydro at the very end, allowing her to potentially get the Trailblaze off, which she didn't throw as well. I think we were both riding high on emotions at this point, which allowed for these kind of random, like, seemingly strange plays to happen. But yeah, that's kind of just wanted to make that known that that it was very winnable for her. It was not in the and I might have celebrated even a bit too early.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, your celebration seemed to be a little bit. I mean, still way more composed than what we have been getting used to lately. So people that just cheer way more blatantly, just mid game or early game, as soon as they win the lead. So yeah, and your celebration here with the fist is actually lot composed and also respectful. So I think it's pretty video game.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I got tunnel vision there at the very end. Kelsey played really, really, really well. The matchup was definitely, the more it played out, the better it seemed for me than it is for her. So yeah, that's kind of how it turned out.
Yeah, I think, potentially, I don't feel like saying that so she didn't really seem to have the upper hand almost never, at least not in the grand finals. Sign that you adapted very well and you managed to exploit your Pokemon the best you could, and just to try and deal as much damage as you could and soak as much damage as you could with your fluffy Altaria, and definitely the combination of those three, Empoleon, Altaria, and Gyarados, with the guest star Kwak the game before actually was pretty crucial, because with the Kwak you forced to break Jellicent again once.
Yeah.
And then you counter the Jellicent Gyarados in the lead. And this kind of adjustments on the go are what make PvP truly entertaining and more skillful than it seemed to be already. These kind of things are the ones that just make all the difference in the world. Tiny things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely, for me, it was learning as I played, learning her tendencies, or predicting to the best of my ability her tendencies. And I'm glad it worked out. Yeah. But she didn't make it easy for me. I think even though it looks like a 6-1, like every game came down to a couple HP.
Yeah, I think too many games actually came down to very little amount of HP. So always coming down to the wire, and of course, most of them could have gone either way with just one extra turn of delay on a decision, definitely. So yeah, but I'd say overall, super deserved run. You were undefeated in your group, and then you managed to climb your way up in day 2 from the loser side, and against super renowned opponents. So yeah, definitely something to be proud of. And so now a couple of words before we wrap the interview up. So looking forward, what would you like to see? Okay, so it's still 1 month to go, I guess, before a new move update kicks in. But something that you are really tired to see, or something that you wish to see in the next trimester?
Yeah, so like, is it like the move balance? Like what I hope to see?
Anything you want to talk about? Yeah, move balance, a certain Pokemon just finally rising in usage because you love that Pokemon. You would like to see it more more loved? Anything you want to talk about?
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, the common ones, Bullet Punch nerf, Rock Tomb nerf. But not gonna lie, I don't see any Cordelias here. So maybe I don't think there's a world where Rock Tomb does not get nerfed. um, but definitely Bullet Punch. I think generally I feel like everything's been a little bit power crept. Fast moves are, if it's not a Shadow Claw clone or better, it's hard to use. Right.
Yeah.
If it's not a Shadow Claw clone, a Sucker Punch clone, or a Poison Sting clone, I think the worst move you'll see out here is like Bubble, but that's also because Azumarill is just absolutely busted.
Yeah.
Charm, Mud Slap, Astonish is a bit too kind of fast move oriented. Fast attack damage oriented. So I think the community also, is hoping for a blanket nerf of all these things to make other moves a bit more playable. I think for me personally, I'd like to see flying types make a comeback, so I don't mind a wing attack buff. Again, it's healthy, I think, for the meta, especially in its current state. Electrics could use a little bit more love, but I think that's kind of where I draw the line. In terms of interesting Pokemon, bit of Gourgeist coming around. I know Rise won Merida with it. Maybe you'll get his thoughts on how the Gourgeist did for him. But typing and coverage wise, it's just so good into at least the Toronto that we see here. And I know Charger Bug's also on the rise. It's decent against that as well. And yeah, speaking of which, Charger Bug came back after this Toronto regional. Certainly interesting to see. Do I take credit for it because I brought the Shadow Gyarados?
I think you should.
I should. I take that credit. Okay, I'll take that credit then. But it has a very relevant meta wins against everything, right? It's like the one electric that doesn't get run over by grounds. I think that's about it. I think off the top of my head, wing attack buff would be nice. I like to see fighting types come back a little bit. The only fighting type that we see here is Shadow Primate, and even then, you're relying on your pacing and not so much fighting type a fast move pressure. Especially with how good normals are right now, I think it makes sense to bring back fighting types in a way or two. Not sure how they're going to do it without making things too RPS.
I suppose, I don't know, if you reduce damage from counter and make it again, but we are going back to the argument of anything that is not a Shadow clone is not good. But if you make it a Shadow Claw clone,
that could be interesting. That could be interesting for sure.
Yeah, or maybe just I don't know, maybe the way it used to be. I mean, yeah, or even the way the counter used to be, but one less damage.
It's like
things maybe fresh, but at least the Rage Fist and Farm Down strat is no longer the strat you want to go down with. At least not for Annihilate. And that would still give the energy that any other counter user require without leaving the Annihilate too much leeway. So, for example, Hitmonchan, I think it is huge coverage. I would love to see Hitmonchan just coming on the scene.
Absolutely.
It also has Bullet Punch, to be fair. So, yeah.
Oh, I see. I didn't even know that, and I don't have a good Hitmonchan myself. I think one more thing that I want to mention is I'd like to see a bit more fire types. I know fire types have always been kind of bad, but it's like, and the only fire type that you do see is like Shadow Talonflame, just because it's like ridiculous in the 2 shield.
Yeah,
I feel like they're either giving Incinerate to more. I'm uncertain how I feel about Incinerate being given to more or like kept the way it is. But I feel you could buff like moves like Fire Spin a bit more. we have Ember as the Poison Sting clone, but like, where's Shadow Charizard? Right, we don't see it. So yeah, those are just thoughts. I like Sucker Punch the way it is, though. I think it could stay like that. It's just I think Dark type is like, Ferd is broken, but it's not like Breaking Swipe Steelix.
I remember they had to nerf it because
it
was too dumb.
Yeah, it was too dumb. I think Ferd still has counterplay. You could tone it down a little bit, for sure, but I think it's probably okay the way it is.
Yeah, I feel they've been adding a lot of new moves since, I don't know, they've been doing so for the last 2 years, and potentially loads of Pokemon are good enough to warrant a top cut. However, you still see the same 20. So I don't know. Yeah, some more diversity. You only see one type of fire. You only see two type of flyers. Or I mean, there are some types here that do not even make the cut. Not even this top 64 cut. You don't see basically poison type, and you don't see dark types except for Gastelot. You no longer see Drapion. You have never seen Scantank, which actually has a different coverage from Drapion, so it might be also interesting just to introduce it. But the pacing is too slow because Poison Jab is an old style move, so it doesn't kept. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Just it doesn't kept up with the rest of the updates.
I agree.
So now it's just trailing in the back, and it's not keeping up.
Yeah, it's like how Lick used to be a valid fast move, right? Lick on Lick. Now it's just you look at that move and you're like, I'm never running that. It's so bad, right? So, I want to say, that point I can't remember it, but if I remember it, I'll speak on it. But yeah, I think that's the general direction. I think just like less power creep everywhere, and then letting more Pokemon shine. I like what they did to Empoleon, but you got to do it to more Pokemon. Like, Empoleon is so good right now because of typing wise, it's held back by its bulk, but it keeps it in check. I would love to see more Pokemon just come out like that and being like meta relevant.
I think what makes Empoleon a smart Pokemon is that despite having a broken charge move and despite having a broken type combo, so the damage dealt by the fast move doesn't really match well with the charge move. So you still need 2 charge moves to KO most things, compared to what it was 2 years ago with Steel Wing was doing so much damage. You would have just needed 1 Hydro Cannon and just shielding it from all the way down. And I think that this is the way all the Pokemon should go. So basically having more, gently nudging the Pokemon to be charge move oriented and less fast move oriented, so that you still have to throw 2 or 3 charge moves, but you stall the clock. You give your opponent the chance to swap out. So doing this with all these Pokemon. So just imagine you can easily nerf Bone Club just by adding 5 extra energy, and you can make K-Wack learn Mudshot and bring in Mudshot back to what it was last year.
Mudshot
and nerfing and nerfing Mudslap. And the point, you're gonna force K-Wack to become a skillful spammer rather than a Pokemon that you just a fast move beater. So I think these kind of things are the things that someone should hope for.
I completely agree. Fast moves are doing too much in my opinion. Like, they buffed Incinerate. Charm is still stupid in my opinion. It actually made Wigglytuff even better. Bullet Punch is kind of crazy. Sucker Punch is fine because I think Dark is kept in check by all the fairies. And yeah, completely agree with what you're saying.
We will see. We still have at least Seattle. I don't know if you will go, but yeah.
I'll try to go. We'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
how things turn out.
You are more than free to think about any other Shadow Dragon or Shadow Pseudo Dragon that you want to bring. Yeah.
I have thought about Shadow Dragonite for Toronto. I know Tauntaun Battus brought it, so
It was a nice read. It was really a nice read.
It was a nice read, right? You agree?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the Shadow Dragonite was a very good Pokemon because but for Birmingham, more and more people had started using Azu, and so for this reason, preferring Dragonite over Altaria, I think it was very sound play, very sound decision.
I was thinking that Shadow Dragonite has really, really nice coverage. Yeah, because you beat Azu with the 2 shields, I believe. You just simply outpace this thing.
You should be able to. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you should be able to. It might be the only scenario you win, but even in the ones, I think you spammed so many Thunder Punches that you might be able to bail out before getting hit by the second Ice Beam.
For sure. And I think that's why I was excited about potentially bringing Dragonite, but I didn't have a good one. Which is why I didn't bring it. But who knows? We'll see how it turns out for Seattle.
Yeah. Okay. So keep your secrets for a little longer, and we are now going to wrap this up. But you have some space here to just give all the due shout outs to all your friends, community, and family, whoever supported you in your journey, and just make sure to let people know where they can find you or to contact you.
Yeah. So I want to shout out to first and foremost my family, my girlfriend, who both have been so supportive of me playing and coming into the competitive format. Ever since I started the game, they've been really supportive. So I owe a lot of where I am today to their love, to their support. So that's the first one. I want to shout out my factions team, as I always do, because they are my way into the competitive scene. They're my biggest support network. So shout out to Thunder Road, as well as the broader community, the Thunder Dome. And I want to shout out my good teammates, Joe to good HDMV, ZKF, who's on the screen right now as well. See Trent Foray as well. Some of my closest buddies in the community as well. And for everyone else, like everyone who hosts tournaments, it is so shout out to Candle Cult, if that needs any more shout outs, for being the best place to get practice in. You can find me on Twitter. If you look up DHCUnited, that's my handle. And I have a YouTube channel. It has absolutely nothing on it, but I may post a tournament recap. But I think I've done a deep enough dive here with you. So we'll see if I do that. But you're welcome to follow me on YouTube as well. And I think that's like the best way. You can also find me on Discord if you really want to reach out to me. And but yeah, thank you for having me here. And shout out to these interviews as well.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah. I'll make sure I will put all the links, all the handles that you mentioned in the description below here. So yeah, thanks again. It was really fun and insightful to hear from you, all your tournament and all your thoughts. Really nice chat, and looking forward to have you once again here, maybe after Seattle. I don't know. We will see. But yeah,
got to win something else. We'll see.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and take care. Speak soon.
Likewise.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you.